Despite this, as the days of the Second Continental Congress urged on, their neglected feelings for each other persisted.
With each breath that caught in their throats, and each stare or voice that came with the attention of one another, the feelings prevailed.
Chapter 1. John Adams. The chamber reeked of ink and unmatched conviction.
Oh my god!
Will scratched at parchment, a chorus of ambition and exhaustion. The air itself seemed heavy with debate.
John Adams sat rigid in his chair, fingers worrying the edge of his notes.
His voice had thundered through these halls, often enough to echo even in silence. Yet today he found himself uncharacteristically quiet.
Across the room, Thomas Jefferson bent over his papers, a curtain of his
following along?
into his eyes.
The Virginian's pen moved with infuriating grace, as though each word he wrote had already been perfectly rehearsed as by the universe itself.
John told him he was studying Jefferson's draftsmanship, his calligraphy, nothing more.
His heart betrayed him, fluttering the same irritation he felt while watching the birds fly into trees.
It says comparison metaphor? I forgot what it's called!
It's in parentheses, okay? We haven't edited it. Okay, never mind. Jefferson glanced up once, just once, catching John's gaze in a rare and accidental collision.
Neither of them looked away quickly enough.
It was a glance short enough to be forgotten, yet long enough to haunt the rest of the day.
John cleared his throat before turning back to the clutter of documents before him. If we are to sign this declaration, he muttered, although no one was listening, then let it be done swiftly.
But his voice shook, not with fear of the crown, nor of the rebellion, but with something far less offendable.
Jefferson's quill stilled at the words. A faint creak of the chair as he leaned on the creak! The creak! The faint creak, wait, where is it? Oh, the faint creak of the chair as he leaned back was enough to draw John's attention again against his better judgment.
Swiftly, Thomas's voice was low, almost amused. You, of all men, would rush history.
John
Played at the corners of Thomas's lips, the kind that infuriated John, because it wasn't cruel, it was kind. You're getting like a smile. John can do that later.
Emily's dead, bro.
saw his face, making him seem younger and more gentle, and John's resolve faltered in the face of that quiet amusement.
He hated that Thomas could disarm him without even trying. A single look, a single word, and John felt the foundations of his certainty shift.
Before he could add another quip, Benjamin Franklin's laughter rippled through the chamber, breaking the spell.
The room exhaled before him, then shifting in their seats, quills pausing mid-word.
Outside, the afternoon light filtered weakly through the tall windows, turning the air a dusty gold.
The revolution was being drafted in that light, in ink and sweat and compromise, but John simply could not stop staring at the way it caught in Thomas's hair.
He looked away sharply, reaching for his inkwell. His hand trembled just enough to spill a dark drop across the margin of his notes.
He cursed under his breath, dabbing at it with infuriating
Thomas's voice again stopped his tongue. You are too hard, Mr. Adams.
Work is all that keeps us from unraveling in its entirety.
Perhaps, but even revolutionaries must.
John didn't answer. He only stared, spreading ink stain and thought, bitterly, that Thomas Jefferson had never once had to remind himself to breathe.
Meeting adjourned at dusk, delegates filed out in pairs, muttering, their voices mingling with this heavy scrape of chairs and the sigh of doors closing.
John lingered behind, as was his habit, gathering his papers into neat, anxious sacks.
He could feel Thomas's presence before he saw him. Ulysses.
might have been teasing, but when John turned, Thomas was looking at him. Not as an adversary, not as a colleague, but as something far more dangerous. The candles flicker.
I'm dying, bro.
Thomas, tell me, Adams, he murmured, do you ever tire of pretending you don't despise me? Thomas's smile was tender. Then what do you call it?
John couldn't answer. His throat tightened with words he couldn't afford to speak. Not here, not ever.
He finished gathering his papers, his hands trembling again.
Good night, Mr. Jefferson.
He moved to pass, but Thomas's hand brushed his sleeve. It wasn't enough to stop him, but it might as well have burned with the way John felt like doubling over.
Good night, Adams, Thomas said, and for the first time, instead of the teasing, tender tone, his voice was fragile.
Sure, John didn't look back, but the echo of his nickname lingered in the air long after the door shut behind him.
Chapter 2.
Oh my god.
Let's rate chapter 1.
Y'all are good. Like, that shit's good.
So good.
Y'all are good at
Your
writing.
acting is really good.
John Adams!
Jefferson lingered in the meeting room.
Y'all need to turn this into Thomas Eddie, bro.
Doesn't Thomas Eddie know that this is happening?
Well, I told him that we were writing a little fan fiction with the...
Bro, turn it in, bro.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what it is, I don't think.
Okay, yeah.
so-
Just turn it in. Just put it in his put it in his inbox on the last day.
Bookbinding?
Okay.
No, we meet after IDs and I'm here to turn it in.
Okay. Chapter 2. Thomas Jefferson.
Jefferson lingered in the meeting room, his brain hazy.
He tried to convince himself that his were better than that. Better than Thomas's half-formed longings and elegant cowardice.
Still, as he turned down the street toward his lodging, Thomas could not suppress the quiet, aching thought that followed him like a shadow. Revolutions like hearts were rarely controlled by reason alone.
Chapter 3. John Adams.
Or like they're somehow at the party. I don't know which one. One of them didn't like the party or whatever. But like they're at the party and they're like alone, and then they have to like, you know what I mean? Like you know that vibe.
What heated rivalries were like this?
No, I do not.
But basically, they're in a party and there's a bunch of people and they're just staring at each other.
Yeah, something like that.
Tension from a
Yes.
Okay.
Like
Chapter
you
3.
in a crowded room, kind of like this.
Yes.
Or like when he comes into the party, he's the first thing he sees.
Okay. Chapter 3. John Adams. Never in his life had Adams let sentiment interfere with duty.
These bars, bro. These bars.
As he walked down the dimly lit halls.
His frustration reflected in his footsteps. Boots, stripes, with more force than necessary.
Adams had faced courts, kings, and crowds without faltering. Words had
Words had always been his armor, his sword, his certainty.
And yet, a single conversation, no, a single look had unraveled him to pieces more easily than any political rival ever could. Thomas Jefferson, the name alone felt like a dangerous melody ingrained in his
He had admired Jefferson from a distance, as one admires a well-crafted instrument.
It had become merely as a respect for a fellow patriot, nothing more.
I forgot. At least, that's what Adams told himself.
When given enough time, however, admiration has the ability to sharpen into something new.
It crept up on him like in fragments. The patience in Jefferson's tone during debates, the careful tilt of his head when lost in thought, and the quiet humor that occasionally slipped unexpectedly through Jefferson's otherwise solemn words.
Adams had spent the entire day urging men toward independence, to war with the most powerful empire.
Yet, here he was, undone by a Virginian with an irritatingly soft smile and penmanship too elegant for his own good.
Independence demanded clarity, discipline.
The revolution required every ounce of his resolve, and John Adams had never been one to shrink from responsibility.
Despite his morals blockading his brain, another thought slipped through his defenses, quieter, but no less persistent.
Jefferson had not pulled his hand away.
You're supposed to not pull it away!
Jefferson had not pulled his hand away.
Hated revolution,
Jefferson
bro.
paused halfway up the stairs.
The realization struck me.
Emily, Jake, repeat your question for the camera.
Further,
Repeat your question for the camera. Say it again.
Camera not catch that!
No.
but Adams is a bottom.
Oh my
Jefferson
god,
is the top.
bro. Top or bottom? Oh my god.
Morning arrived all too quickly.
Jefferson had slept little, his mind wandering in restless circles long after his bedside candles had burned out.
Philadelphia buzzed with uneasy purpose as he made his way to the State House.
Delegates moved through the streets in huddled clusters, voices drifting through the air to push murmurs.
Burlings hung in the air.
Thomas kept his eyes forward as he entered the chamber.
He lasted precisely 12 seconds before his eyes searched for John Adams.
Oh.
Adams was already there, seated at the oak table with his typical rigid posture, papers spread before him like a battlefield of ink and argument.
Oh my god, yo.
His brow was furrowed with concentration, Will moving briskly across the paper.
For a moment, Jefferson simply watched.
Adams looks up as if sensing his unwavering attention.
Their eyes meet.
The world around them disappeared. Shattered into silence.
The world seemed to stop on its axis, yet the rotation of the world did not translate to the spinning of Jefferson's mind.
Ooh.
The moment was brief, but it carried the weight of the previous evening.
Neither of them spoke. Neither of them looked away immediately.
Jefferson forced himself to break eye contact first, clearing his throat and his fingers on the table.
Before he could dwell on the thought and reconsider, Thomas crossed the room.
Adams stiffened slightly. Silly, as though from surprise or anticipation, Thomas could not tell.
Good morning, Adams. We haven't written anything from there. Cliffhanger!